everybody. Today we have Hillarie Croyle on the podcast as a guest coming on for some coaching. She is a network marketer who went through pretty much the worst case scenario when it comes to network marketing. She built up her team, built up her business, and then had somebody leave her business, her team, and start cross-recruiting her team right out from under her, all while she was on maternity leave with her second baby. So we dive into where she's at today with building her business and the biggest obstacles standing in her way. And one of the stories that she was really struggling with was, well, I don't want to build my business the way that I'm being told to by my upline, and I want to teach my team differently, but I don't think there's anybody else out there that wants to do it my way, because if they do it my way, it's not going to be a quick fix. How many of you guys can relate to that? We dive deep into that story, in overcoming it, and in what her true income producing activities are, because we kind of go that direction of figuring out, what are you spending your time on a daily basis? And she was coming from the standpoint of, oh, I need to do these things because they're going to make me money. And in reality, she was spending her time on the wrong things. So if you're wondering what you need to be spending your time on for IPAs, and you're building a network marketing team, or you're building any kind of a business online, you're going to want to listen in and take some good notes. Hope you guys love the episode. All right. We have Hillarie Croyle. I think that's how you say your last name. Yes, on the show.
Yes.
I'm super excited to have her on today. So welcome, Hillarie.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Okay, so I know who you are, but people listening in don't. So tell everyone, obviously we know your name, tell them where you live and what you do.
Okay, so I am 29. I live in a super small town in central Pennsylvania. I have two sons. One is 4 and one just turned a year old. I've been married for 4 years, and I have been in network marketing for just over 3 years now.
What company?
It Works Global.
Oh, It Works. Okay.
Yeah.
I know It Works, girls. That's awesome. Okay, so you've been doing it for 3 years. Do you like it? Do you love it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've gone through so many roller coasters in my business. Like, I got to making a couple $1,000s a month, and I had somebody quit and cross recruit like half of my team. So that was my first kind of like big, okay, this can happen. And then I built it back up to beyond that. And just whenever I was like 38 weeks pregnant with my last son, until he was like 2 weeks old, I had some really crucial people leave. And so that was like another hit. And so now at this point, it's just like, I can't imagine going back to work. Have that entrepreneur spirit at this point. Like, I think after being home with your kids and having that flexibility, you can't like forget about it, you know? But it's also like, okay, this is like the pivotal. I have to get this right now. And I think you get it in your head that even if you get it back, you're going to lose it. And so that's just something that I'm working to overcome too.
So you need this income, or you have to go back to work?
I mean, yeah, that's
okay.
Yes.
How much do you want to be making a month?
I would be happy with 4,000, but that's not my dream number.
Okay. But you want to get to 4,000 right now. Can I ask what you're making right now?
So my paychecks have gone from like 5,000 down to like $500 to $700 to $800.
Okay. A month.
Yes.
Okay. And you know as well as anyone that building a network marketing team, the money is in building a team, not in like clients.
Right.
So what do you think your issue is, or where do you feel stuck? What would you like help with today?
I think that I don't feel confident in training new business builders because, you know, whenever I built the first time, I just did what everybody tells you in network marketing. They say it's a numbers game, message 10 more people if nobody answers, you know, that type of thing. Post 4 times a day about your product. And I think that worked because you're pushing, but you force it. And then it's not sustainable because you haven't built like an actual following. You were forcing it. And so I've seen that happen in my own business. And so I don't feel confident that I'm going to teach somebody else how to have that sustainable income that they're looking for.
Have you always struggled with confidence?
So it's funny. I didn't think so, but I guess I have, because that's been mentioned a few times in the Millionaire Society.
Mm-hmm. When is the first time you remember going, oh, I don't know if I can?
I don't remember where it comes from, but I think I've always felt that way about myself. there's two Hillarys. Like there's one who's like, oh my gosh, like you're just as good as them. Like, you know that just as well as she does. And then there's like the other person on my shoulder who's like, no girl, like you can, who are you to do that? Like, you don't know enough about this to talk about it type thing.
And when did that person, the no girl, first start showing up in your life?
I mean, I feel like I remember her always. It's something that I don't talk about super often is that whenever I was 15, I started dating somebody who was emotionally abusive. So from like 15 to 21, so that's pretty pivotal years where you get a lot into your brain of things that aren't true. So I think I've overcome up quite a bit of it, but I'm sure that it all comes back to that, a lot of it.
What do you think the belief was that 15-year-old Hillarie took on?
Just that I wasn't good enough. Like I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't good enough. Nobody else, wanted anything to do with me type things.
Have you talked with her?
I haven't yet. I have talked with like 3-year-old Hillarie, and that's as far as I got.
So if you were to close your eyes right now and picture 15-year-old Hillarie who's in that abusive relationship and she probably feels scared, what does she need to hear from you?
Probably that she's just so much better than the circumstance that she's in, and it doesn't define who she is. And she doesn't have to be like embarrassed that she allowed that to happen.
Do you feel shame about that story and about dating him?
Yeah. I feel embarrassed that I allowed myself to go through that. And also that I was so embarrassed that I would cover up that it was happening. So then whenever, 7 years later, I finally was brave enough to end it and I met my husband now, who's amazing. People didn't believe that I went through it. So that's hard too.
Why did you judge yourself for dating him?
I guess because I feel shame around that I let myself be in that situation for so long.
Is a 15-year-old an adult?
No.
So you were a child?
Yeah.
Were you doing the best that you could at the time, what you knew?
Yeah.
So what would it look like to love that girl and to accept her instead of shaming her about it?
Yeah, I think it's more like bringing her with me to be partners rather than like kind of putting her under the rug like this didn't happen at all and you can just forget about it.
Well, what's interesting is that we all tend to do this. We all tend to have parts of ourselves that we're embarrassed and we want to push them away and isolate them and not like even admit that they're there, right? And when we do that, we're rejecting them the same way that everybody else rejected us. It's like we're adopting the same behavior and the same attitude that everybody else had towards us. Now we're adopting that same belief and attitude towards ourselves. So like, how can that girl win?
That's so true. I never thought of it like that.
Like you've literally abandoned yourself to take on other people's perspectives about you and now stand in judgment of yourself when like she's like, okay, then I can't win.
That's so good. Yeah, so true.
So I have a feeling you have some talking to do with her.
Yeah.
Some work to do with her. And it sounds like some forgiveness.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you heard of Kayla's 7-step forgiveness process?
I've listened to it. I haven't done, I never thought to do it with myself. Like that's the first, yeah, I've never thought to do it with myself. So that's interesting. But yeah.
So now let's go back to your network marketing because obviously you need to talk to this girl because that's who's coming up for you when you step into this. And so that's part one, right? Is talking to her when you feel that voice coming up saying, oh, actually, that's not actually our story anymore, right? We're changing our story and you need to declare a new story over yourself with this. But then my question to you is, if there were no rules and if there was nobody else doing It Works, how would you want to tell someone how to build a business?
I think that whenever people hear you have to make these connections, and the way that I want to say it, like you have to make connections genuinely and go and interact with people, and you can't just send out 200 friend requests a day and think that you're going to make those kind of connections.
Yeah.
But I think that they hear that takes more time. And so that is my concern, where if somebody tells you go send 50 messages and you might get a result that day, they think it's more like microwave, like instant results, but in reality, it's not, and it's not lasting. And so that's where I feel like if they think that it's going to take time to get the result that they want, they're not going to be interested.
So are you the only person on the planet that wants to build a business that way?
No.
So what's the story you're telling yourself around that?
I guess that it's just, like you said, I've adopted other people's thoughts. You read the stigma about network marketing in a post, or somebody making fun of network marketers in a post, and you're like, is that me? Do I do that? So then I kind of like slink back a little bit, of where like, maybe I don't want to post today because people think this about network marketers. And so it all comes back to the confidence thing that you said.
And being confident in yourself is when you integrate all of you. It's when you love the shameful parts of you. It's when you accept the dark parts of you. It's when you accept the parts of you that made mistakes, as well as the good parts of you. But so much of the time we try to push them away, and we're fragmented. Every time we do that, we're fragmented. And so of course we have no confidence. We've shattered it, literally. Most people think confidence comes from doing everything right. I would submit to you that confidence comes from getting to know the parts of you that you're embarrassed by, and actually forgiving those parts and loving them, and realizing that you're actually a great person. All of you is. And the more you do that, the more confident you are, because nobody can bring up anything about you that you haven't already looked at yourself.
Yeah.
You haven't already made peace with yourself. It's like Kayla always talks about being your own best friend. The more you do that, the more confident you are. So I hear you saying this story of like, oh, nobody out there is going to want this business if it's not a quick fix.
Yeah.
So there's a saying, I was just talking about it on a training yesterday. The eyes only see and the ears only hear what the brain is already looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling yourself there's nobody out there that wants a business if it's not a quick fix. So you're only seeing and you're only hearing the story you've already told yourself. In reality, you can't possibly be the only one that wants to build a business that way. Out of 7 billion people on the planet.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, a bunch of us in the Millionaire Society wanted to build it the right way.
Yeah.
So when you tell yourself these things, I want you to stop and ask, is this actually literally true? Okay, let's make it literal. That I'm the only person on the planet out of 7 billion people that wants to build a business this way. Well, that can't be true, because you know Kayla, you know me, you know a bunch of other people that wanted to build it the right way, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's not even based in truth. Second of all, how is that helping you?
It's not.
Serving you. Correct. It's not bringing you any results that you want, right? And our results are always a reflection of the stories we're telling ourselves. So what would be a new story that you could start telling yourself so that you find evidence for it?
That people are excited to partner in network marketing with somebody who wants to build a business genuinely and without cold messaging.
And tell me, why would you want people that want a quick fix?
I guess I think that if they don't see a quick result, they'll think it doesn't work. Like the business model doesn't work.
Okay. But that's you making an assumption.
Right. Yeah.
And I bet you found evidence to back up that assumption, because you've only talked to people that want a quick fix.
Yeah.
Do you see how we do this to ourselves?
Yes.
We literally create our own weird stories, and then we find proof to back them up all the time.
I'm going to be asking myself, is that true? About 3,000 times a day now.
I want you to write down a list of why you want someone that doesn't want a quick fix. And who is that person? Who is the person that doesn't want a quick fix? And why are they the ones you want on your team?
Yeah, they're going to be around long term.
Correct. And then let's bring this to a practical level for your Instagram. This kind of goes into niche and picking your niche or niche, however people say it. And I always tell people, lead with what you disagree with in your industry or what you disagree with in your MLM. Like lead with a hole that you see which caused you to create something different. And I think for you, this could be really powerful to openly speak about the fact that you disagree with how most people build an MLM and how you created, you founded, you started a different team because you wanted a place for people that wanted to do it the right way.
Yeah, that's powerful.
What kind of people would you attract if you showed up talking that way?
That's true. And see, and I've already started thinking that way just from finding your podcast, honestly. But then my thought process goes to, but Hillarie, you don't know yet. You know what you don't want to do, but you don't know how to do what it is that you want to do yet, if that makes sense.
Do you know how to build your own business?
Yeah.
So what all do you think you need to know that you don't? If someone brand new is starting.
To tell them how to post. Like, I don't know how to put it into words to tell somebody how to post about your opportunity and your product that isn't talking about yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, I can sit down and write something myself, but I don't know how to verbalize that to somebody who's new in a way that I think it's going to make sense to them.
This will be a good tip for you. A lot of network marketers, when they're building their team, make the mistake of thinking that they need to be the one to be able to teach on everything. But the most successful network marketers are really good at just pointing to resources. It's not their job to teach everything. It's their job to get the resources to teach their people. So all you have to do is when someone's like, oh, how do I post? You're like, hey, listen to this podcast. Hey, get this workbook. Because I just made one that's all about that, right? Like, hey, watch this YouTube video. Watch this IGT live. This will tell you how. Right? So it's completely changing your perspective from thinking I have to be the one to teach everything to, no, can I find the resources for people?
Yeah, that's good. I put a lot of pressure on myself with making sure that I answer every question. I just like tell them exactly what to do. And honestly, it gets exhausting. So that's.
And how is that helping your team in taking responsibility for their own business?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And a lot of network marketers get trapped in that too, because they're constantly making sure they're the one taking responsibility for their team's business. And again, it's saying a good leader that wants to help raise up other leaders, not followers, gives the resources and then encourages people to chase it themselves. Like, do you want followers or do you want leaders on your team?
Well, yeah, true. Definitely leaders.
Yeah, but they're not going to learn how to lead themselves if you're always leading them.
Yeah, that's true.
So how can you, and this might be a good journal question too, how can you teach your leaders how to lead themselves?
That's so good. And honestly, it feels like a weight off. Like, okay, I don't have to, it's so much more time freedom whenever you learn to lead them that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You'll attract different people too when you do this, because real leaders don't want to be a follower.
Yeah.
So they're not attracted to someone that's like, oh, I'm going to do everything for you. I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to teach you everything. I'm going to spoon feed, right? They're like, no, like, give me the stuff. And like, I'll do it. I'll read it. I'll watch it. Like I'll implement it. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
that's what
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're attracting for a reason. So always go back to like, why am I attracting this type of person? It probably has to do with the story I'm telling myself or how I'm showing up, right? Because we are the problem and the solution in our business. And we attract who we are, not who we want.
Yeah.
So I would say get crystal clear on who you want. You can make a list. And then you ask yourself on the opposite side, am I being this person? Or who do I need to be to attract this person?
Yeah, super helpful.
Yeah. I'm sure you've already done like the future visualizing, the future you that has the massive team.
Yeah, I have done that stuff. And see, here's the thing about me, and I think it goes back to the spending time with these past Hillaries, because I know a lot of these things and I tell other people to do them, but I'm not, and I know the right answers, but I'm not genuinely implementing them deeply in myself.
Okay.
And I don't know, I don't know why that is. I guess if it comes back to I'm not confident it's going to work for me, but I know that it can. Like realistically, I know that that's not true.
What things specifically are you not implementing for you?
I mean, when you say it like that, I guess I'm doing the things like that we're talking about right now. As far as being able to teach on it, that's something else that, I'm working on and we just went over. But the things that I don't implement myself, like the deep self-work that I tell them to do. Like, did you pray about that? Did you journal about that today? And I know that I should be doing those things too. But then it's like, okay, I've spent all my time telling you guys to do this, and then I didn't do it myself.
Okay. So what do you need to switch your priorities around to be?
I have to fill myself first. Maybe even go as far as like phone on airplane mode so I don't get distracted by their questions until I've done what I think I need to do for myself for the day.
Also, keep in mind that you train your team how to treat you and how to respect your time.
Yeah.
So for me, when I was building a network marketing team seriously, I got to a point where I had to qualify my time. I don't know if you've heard of that phrase, but it's basically somebody doesn't just have access to me all the time just because. If they're new, I have a call, I get them going, I give them homework. If they come back to me with questions, I say, awesome, how'd your homework go? If they're like, oh, I haven't done it yet, I'm like, do your homework first, then we can talk, right? And then I got to a point where it was like, if you want to call with me, you can schedule one here. You can make a Calendly link, right? Instead of constantly answering DMs left and right, because that's you letting people take your energy on their schedule.
Yeah, that definitely happens for sure.
But that's you allowing it.
Yeah, I do.
So you can make a link for them to book a call if they have questions. And then when they went to book a call with me, I asked questions. I was like, have you shown up on social media 5 days a week for the last 2 weeks with a post and with 10 stories a day? And if their answer was no, they didn't get a call because they can't help you if you are not showing up for yourself.
Yeah, that's good. And I think I'm so worried that if I did those things, if I showed up that way, that they would quit because I wasn't helping them enough, whenever that's the total opposite mindset that I should be having in order to create successful people.
Well, is that making a decision from a place of fear or love?
Fear, for sure.
Right. It's scarcity mindset thinking.
Yeah.
And so the biggest lesson for you is like open hands. You can't grasp onto your team. You can't pull them with you. And the more you have open hands, you might lose some people. I lost some people when I was like, you know what? I can no longer try to bring you with me. I'm going to run. If you want to come, I'm going to give you the resources. I'm going to welcome you. But I have open hands. I'm not holding on anymore. And it meant some people left. Some people came because I actually had the room. I actually had the open hands.
Yeah.
So for you, it's letting go of the old stories that are saying, if you don't hold on, you're going to have nothing, right? Who are you to show up? Like none of those stories are serving you. And do you know the highest version of you that already has the team, right? Does she show up that way?
No.
Right. Does she think that way?
No.
Is it even possible for her to constantly be DMing everybody on her team if she has thousands of people on her team?
No, definitely not.
No. Right. So it's showing up as her now before you have them.
Yeah.
And that's how you attract those types of people.
That's so good. Yes.
So yes, turn the alerts off on your phone. I have them off on mine. Even now. I would turn them off on your phone. And have you ever heard of John Maxwell or read his stuff?
Yeah, I read the 5 levels of leadership, or I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, he has a ton of awesome YouTube videos too. But he always talks about how you are the lid for your team. Your team can't be more successful than you are, more than like you grow. And so if you're not doing the work on yourself every day, you're actually limiting the success of your team. And we think, oh, we just need to help our team, we'll be more successful. But it's actually the work on yourself that raises that lid every day and makes it possible for them too.
Yeah, that's good. And I think it's relieving to hear, like, because those are the things I love to do. I do love to actually have that time for myself and work on myself. But whenever you get up in the morning and you're like, okay, I have to answer all these questions, and then all of a sudden it's noon and it's time to feed your kids, and then the day has just gone and you haven't done anything for yourself. But then I was feeling guilty for taking that time and really, journaling and meditating and doing those things, because I'm like, okay, this isn't income producing, but in reality it is, and I do need to do those things.
Well, and you need to question like what you've done in the past. Has it worked? Is it really
Not for long.
right?
No, not for long.
Right, exactly. So we're like, hey, maybe I need to switch it up because clearly this isn't income producing. So it goes back to asking, how would the highest version of you do her day? Okay, do your day the way she would.
Yeah.
Yeah, and come from a place of love and not fear.
That's definitely, whenever I would think about scarcity mindset, I would think about like lack financially, not coming from fear in a work ethic. So that's like an aha moment for sure.
And you also have lack around thinking there are people that don't want to sign up if it's not a quick fix.
Yeah. See.
Yeah. So
that's like totally opened my mind to how I'm seeing things.
So when you feel that churn, no, I need to work, I need to make money, I need to do income producing things, that's your cue to like get quiet and be, okay, who is this coming up for me? Because it's a passenger, right? Like, what do they need to hear? What do they need to be told? And what new story do I need to give them? Because like that story isn't actually accurate.
Yeah, it's really good.
Anything else?
So I guess my last thing is like, it seems like there's so many people in network marketing, or they have a side hustle. So how in your Instagram bio do you put like who you are that makes you stand apart from everybody else?
That's where you need your niche and your I help statement. And I did a whole webinar on this. Did you get my webinar where I taught about how to craft your bio?
I don't know if I did.
Okay, I'll send it to you. You can watch it. Anybody listening in, if you want the webinar on how to craft your bio, I did one, and I walked you through it step by step. And then my book that just came out, I put a couple of new freebies in it, and one of them is crafting a notable niche, and it walks you through how to come up with what your niche is. I did another one on avatar research and literally how to do your avatar research so you can stop guessing at it. That's all in the workbook. So, but I'll send you the webinar to help you craft your bio and make you stand out.
Okay.
If you're confused or if you have any questions, you can totally message me. But I'll say, I've said this before on the podcast, influencers make their bio about them because they're here for follower count first, and then sales are a byproduct. And so they very much lead with them and what their community is going to resonate with. So if they're a mom blogger, they're going to lead with being a mom and kind of what some of their specialties are, right? Entrepreneurs worry about sales first and follower count second. And so because they're focused on sales first, everything they put up online is 100% based on who's my ideal client and what do they need to see from me to want to follow me. So you've got to craft your niche like before you do anything else. You need to know who you're here to help and with what. And this goes back to what I asked you earlier. What do you disagree with in your industry? Right? And
yeah.
You talked about, I have a different team. I'm going to teach my team differently. I think you should lead with that. That can totally be a niche, right? I help women build an online profitable business without being spammy or slimy, right? Like it could be as simple as that because they don't want to feel spammy or slimy, right? But you got to know your niche, and then you craft your bio telling people who you are and what exactly you do in their words that they're looking for that will call their attention to, oh my gosh, who is this girl? Like I would be interested in that, right? So, and then you give them some sort of a link to something free to start warming them up. Or if you're offering something right then at the time, like I've put my webinar link in there before, things like that. But I tell them to take action and get started because you always want to tell your people to be taking action. That's how we train them to. That's just a little quick bio overview. I'll send you the video. But if I were you, I would think about using that to your advantage.
Okay.
Most
yeah,
people,
leading with what you disagree with is like that's a new concept. So that's awesome.
Correct. And most network marketers are like, I don't disagree with anything. I love my company. And I'm like, well, you should, because now you sound like thousands of other people in your company, right? And how are you any different? And why would they want to buy from you as opposed to someone who's more successful? So
Right.
look for the problem within the problem is always how I talk about it. You had an original problem and you found your company as the solution, but what after that was still kind of a problem for you that you're now creating a solution for?
Yeah.
That is your origin story and what makes you different than everybody else.
That's so good. Okay.
Yay. Well, anything else real quick before we hop off? I'm so glad you got on.
Yeah, this was awesome. I mean, so many aha moments, like a lot of work to do from, I can't just stop at 3-year-old Hillarie chatting with her. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you for coming on the show. Tell everybody really quickly your Instagram handle where they can find you.
So my Instagram handle is just Hillarie.Croyle.
Awesome. Everybody go give her some love. Take a picture of this episode. Shout us out. Tell us what you learned from it, what your aha moment was. We would love to hear. And if you want to be on the show, go send me a DM on Instagram and ask for the application. You can come on and get some coaching with me, just like Hillarie just did. It'll be super fun. Talk to you guys later.